The hostess smiled as Mariam stepped into the private dining room, but the smile faded the moment she glanced at the seating chart. The room was full of warm light, polished wood, and familiar voices. Laughter bounced off the walls. Plates clinked. This was supposed to be a celebration, her grandmother's anniversary, something Mariam had helped plan for weeks. She scanned the long table, counting chairs, already knowing where she would sit. Then she saw it. Her name wasn't there. She paused, unsure if it was a mistake. Her coat was still on her arm. Her purse felt heavy in her hand. She caught her aunt's eye and gave a small wave. The wave was returned, stiff and rushed, as if Mariam had interrupted something important. Before Mariam could speak, her aunt stood and moved closer, blocking the view of the table behind her. Her voice was low and careful. "I'm sorry," she said. "This table is for family." The words were calm. No anger. No apology that meant anything. Just a rule delivered late. Mariam felt her chest tighten. "I am family," she said. Not loud, not sharp, just confused. Her aunt looked past her, toward the table. "You know what I mean," she replied. "It's just easier this way." Easier. Mariam nodded once, slow, as if agreeing, though nothing made sense. She had booked the restaurant. She had paid the deposit. She had spent nights on the phone coordinating menus and seating, so no one would feel left out. Now she was standing at the door like a stranger. She glanced toward Khalid. He sat near the center of the table, relaxed, smiling, telling a story with his hands. He was wearing the watch Mariam had helped him buy when he said he needed to impress investors. He didn't look up. Not once. A memory hit her hard and fast. Khalid calling late at night, voice tight with worry. Khalid saying the business was about to collapse. Khalid promising, "You'll get it back, you're saving me." She had believed him because he was family, because he had always been the one everyone trusted. The hostess cleared her throat. "Miss, should I take your coat?" Mariam swallowed. "No," she said. "I'll keep it." Her mother stood halfway from her seat, eyes full of warning. "Please," she whispered. "Not now. Not now." As if there would ever be a right time to be quietly erased. Mariam stepped aside, letting another guest pass. The chair that might have been hers was pulled closer to the table by someone else. Conversation resumed. The room filled again with sound, but Mariam felt oddly detached, like she was watching through glass. She walked toward the bar, each step steady, controlled. Her face stayed calm, but her thoughts moved fast. She replayed the past year in sharp flashes. The transfer receipts. The messages left unread. The excuses. The way Khalid's tone had changed once she asked for a repayment plan. The way he said she was making things uncomfortable. The way the family agreed at the bar. She sat on a high stool and rested her hands on the counter. The bartender asked what she wanted. She asked for water. Her throat was dry, but she wasn't thirsty. Behind her, the private room door stayed open. She could hear Khalid laughing now, louder than before. He was free. The problem she had been removed. Mariam stared at the glass of water as if it might explain something. She wasn't angry yet. Anger would have been easier. What she felt was sharper. A clear understanding that this wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. They had chosen comfort over fairness. Image over truth. She thought of the day she discovered where the money went. The social media photos. The trips. The dinners. When she confronted Khalid, he hadn't denied it. He'd smiled, tired and annoyed, and said, "Why are you acting like this? We're family." As if that word gave him the right to take and never return. The waiter approached, holding menus. "Would you like to order, miss?" Mariam looked up. The question was simple, neutral, professional. No judgment. No history. She felt something shift. Yes, she said. She followed him back toward the room, stopping just outside the doorway. The waiter waited for her to point. She gestured toward the table. That one. He hesitated. Are you with that party? She nodded. Yes. He stepped inside and handed menus to the group, including Khalid. Khalid frowned, confused, then looked up. Their eyes met. His smile faded. Miriam didn't speak. She took a seat at a small side table near the wall, close enough to hear everything, far enough to be separate. The waiter returned with a menu for her. She opened it slowly. The room buzzed with talk about work, travel, plans. No one addressed her. It was as if she existed in a space they could not see. Miriam read the menu, not really reading, just letting the moment settle. This was the betrayal. Not the money. Not even the lie. It was the quiet agreement to pretend she didn't matter. Her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. Please don't do anything. Miriam set the phone face down. She looked up at Khalid again. He was watching her now, his face tense. He leaned toward her aunt and whispered something. The aunt glanced back, eyes sharp, then turned away. Miriam closed the menu. She understood something then. This night wasn't about celebration. It was about power. About who could be pushed aside without consequences. She took a slow breath. If they wanted her gone, fine. But she would not leave empty-handed. And she would not leave quietly. Miriam stayed seated while the room carried on without her. The laughter felt louder now, sharper, like it was meant to push her out. She didn't look away. She studied the faces she had known her whole life and noticed how easily they avoided her eyes. It wasn't fear. It was comfort. Ignoring her was easier than facing what had been done. The waiter returned with water and placed it gently in front of her. Are you ready to order? He asked. Miriam nodded. Her voice came out calm. Too calm. Yes. She ordered slowly, clearly. Not rushed. Each word felt like a step forward. She chose dishes she recognized from family meals. Things Khalid had once praised. Flavors he claimed reminded him of home. She added drinks, then another bottle. The waiter wrote everything down without comment. As the waiter walked away, Miriam leaned back and exhaled. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. She wasn't acting out of sudden anger. This wasn't a burst of emotion. It was a response shaped by months of silence and swallowed frustration. She told herself to stop. She still had time. She could stand up, leave the restaurant, go home, and let the night pass like every other disappointment. No one would stop her. No one would care. Life would continue, unchanged, with her always stepping aside. The thought made her chest tighten. She remembered every time she had chosen peace over honesty. Every time she had said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. Every time she had protected Khalid's image because she didn't want to break the family apart. And where had that brought her? To a chair that didn't exist. Khalid shifted in his seat and whispered something to the cousin beside him. They both looked toward Miriam, then away. He was uneasy now. He knew something was wrong, but not what. He was used to control, used to people fixing things quietly for him. Miriam picked up her water and took a sip. The glass trembled slightly. She noticed and set it down. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from her mother. Please, just come home. Miriam didn't reply. Home no longer felt like a place where she was safe. She looked around the room and let herself feel everything she had buried. The shame of asking for her own money back. The guilt they had placed on her for speaking up. The way Khalid had told her she was being selfish. The way the family had agreed without asking questions. In their minds, Khalid wasn't wrong. He was just going through something. Mariam, on the other hand, was difficult. She disrupted peace. She made people uncomfortable. That label had followed her into this room. The waiter returned with the first round of dishes and placed them on the family table. Mariam watched as plates were shared, compliments exchanged. Khalid smiled again, his confidence returning as food arrived. He believed the moment had passed, that she would stay quiet. Mariam raised her hand slightly. The waiter noticed and came over. "Yes, miss." "Add another round," she said. "And the dessert menu." The waiter hesitated, then nodded. Her stomach twisted. This was the point of no return. She knew it. A voice inside her asked if this would make her any better than him. If this was just another form of cruelty, dressed up as justice. She didn't answer the voice. She wasn't trying to hurt him. Not truly. She was trying to be seen. Her gaze drifted back to Khalid. He laughed at something her uncle said, leaning back like the center of the world. He hadn't paid her back. He hadn't apologized. He hadn't even acknowledged the harm. Instead, he had removed her from the picture. Mariam's thoughts sharpened. If she walked away now, nothing would change. Khalid would keep moving forward. The family would close ranks, and she would carry the weight alone. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about consequence. The waiter returned with desserts and placed them carefully on the table. Someone clapped in approval. A phone came out to take pictures. Mariam watched as Khalid posed, smiling wide, enjoying the moment she had helped fund. Her jaw tightened. She caught the waiter's attention once more. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Yes, miss." She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Can you tell me whose name the table is under?" The waiter checked his tablet. "Mr. Khalid Hassan." "Thank you," she said. That single answer settled everything. Her heart raced, but her mind felt clear. Khalid had taken her money. Khalid had claimed control. Khalid had decided who belonged. That meant Khalid could carry the weight of the night. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a message from Khalid himself. "What are you doing?" Mariam looked at the screen, then locked it without replying. She watched as the family leaned back, satisfied, unaware. The room felt smaller now, tighter, like it was holding its breath. Mariam stood slowly, her legs steady beneath her. She picked up her coat and slid her arms into it. The fabric felt heavy, grounding. She didn't rush. She didn't look angry. She looked resolved. As she stepped toward the door. She knew the moment was coming. The bill would arrive. Questions would be asked. Faces would turn. Part of her felt fear. Part of her felt relief. She had spent so long protecting everyone else that she had forgotten what it felt like to protect herself. She paused near the entrance and looked back one last time. Khalid was mid-sentence, unaware. The family leaned in, relaxed, careless. Mariam opened the door and stepped into the hallway, knowing the storm she had set in motion would soon break behind her. She didn't know how it would end. She only knew that for once she hadn't chosen silence, and that choice changed everything. The waiter returned to the private room with the bill folder in his hand. His steps were measured, careful, as if he sensed the shift in the air. The family was finishing dessert, voices calm, bodies relaxed. Khalid leaned back in his chair, confident again, telling a story about future plans. No one noticed the waiter until the folder touched the table. "Sir," the waiter said politely, placing it in front of Khalid. "Whenever you're ready." Khalid nodded without looking and continued talking. He opened the folder with one hand, still smiling. The smile vanished in a second. His eyes dropped to the number, then scanned it again, slower this time, as if it might change. He laughed, short and uncertain. This isn't right. The table grew quiet. Someone leaned forward. What is it? Khalid cleared his throat. There's been a mistake, he said, louder now. This total can't be for us. The waiter stayed calm. That is the full charge for your table, sir. Khalid's fingers tightened around the folder. 2,200, he said, disbelief turning sharp. That's impossible. Murmurs spread. Chairs shifted. A cousin reached for the bill, but Khalid pulled it back, eyes darting around. He looked toward the door, then toward the side table where Mariam had been sitting. It was empty. Who ordered all of this? He asked. No one answered. The waiter spoke again. All items were ordered under your table, sir. Khalid's voice dropped. By who? Before the waiter could answer, a calm voice cut through the room. I did. Every head turned. Mariam stood near the doorway, coat on, posture straight. Her face was composed, her eyes steady. She hadn't rushed back in. She hadn't hesitated. She had waited for the moment to arrive. Khalid stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. What are you talking about? He said. This isn't funny. I'm not joking, Mariam replied. Her voice carried without effort. I ordered the food. Her aunt stood abruptly. Mariam, stop this. Mariam didn't look at her. She kept her eyes on Khalid. You said this table was for family, she continued. You said it so clearly. I thought that meant I could participate like everyone else. That's not what we meant, Khalid snapped. You know that. Mariam nodded once. Yes, I do. The room felt tight now, like walls closing in. The waiter stepped back slightly, giving space. Khalid pushed his chair out and stood, his face flushed. You did this on purpose, he said. Yes, Mariam answered. Gasps followed. Someone whispered her name, shocked. Someone else shook their head. Khalid clenched his jaw. This is embarrassing, he said. You're trying to humiliate me. Mariam met his gaze. No, I'm letting you experience something familiar. He laughed bitterly. You think this fixes anything? You think this gives you power? Mariam took a step forward. I don't want power, she said. I wanted respect. Silence fell again. She continued, her words simple, controlled. You borrowed my money. You promised to return it. When I asked about it, you told me I was causing problems. Then tonight, you told everyone I don't belong. Khalid opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes flicked to the table, to the faces watching him now. He wasn't the center anymore. He was exposed. You could have talked to me, he said finally. I did, Mariam replied. Many times. Her mother stood, voice shaking. Enough. Please. Mariam looked at her mother then, softening slightly. I know this is hard, she said. But pretending nothing happened hasn't helped. She turned back to Khalid. This bill won't cover what you owe me, she said. But it reminds you that choices cost something. Khalid scoffed. So you just walk away? Yes, Mariam said. That's exactly what I'm doing. The waiter cleared his throat. Sir, how would you like to pay? Khalid froze. All eyes were on him. He could feel it. The weight of judgment, the discomfort he had pushed onto Mariam now pressing down on him. He pulled out his card with stiff fingers and handed it over. The waiter took it without comment. As the machine processed the payment. No one spoke. Khalid stared at the table. His hands trembled slightly. This wasn't how the night was supposed to go. He had planned control. He had planned silence. The machine beeped. Approved, the waiter said gently. Khalid snatched the card back and shoved it into his wallet. He looked up at Mariam, his eyes sharp. You've made things worse, he said. You know that. Mariam didn't argue. Maybe, she said. Or maybe I've stopped pretending. She turned toward the door. Mariam, Khalid called after her. She paused but didn't turn around. You didn't have to do this, he said. Quieter now. She took a breath. You didn't have to push me out. Then she walked away. Behind her, voices rose. Arguments broke out. The calm image of the family cracked, replaced by blame and discomfort. Khalid sank back into his chair, no longer sure of his place. Outside, Mariam stepped into the cool night air. Her heart raced, her body buzzing with emotion she hadn't fully processed yet. She didn't feel joy. She didn't feel guilt. The moment was over. The moment was over. The choice had been made. Whatever came next, she had faced the table that rejected her and left on her own terms. And that, she knew, could never be taken from her. The door closed behind Mariam, cutting off the noise from the restaurant. The night air hit her face, cool and sharp, and she breathed it in deeply. Her hands were shaking now, not from fear, not from regret, but from release. The moment she had carried in her chest for months had finally passed. She walked down the sidewalk without looking back. Cars moved slowly along the street. People laughed outside nearby cafes, unaware of the quiet storm that had just ended. The world hadn't changed. Only she had. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She didn't stop walking. She already knew who it was. When she finally looked, there were several messages. Her mother, an aunt, a cousin. Then Khalid. You didn't have to do that. You made everyone uncomfortable. We could have handled this privately. Mariam stared at the screen, then locked. It, privately. The word felt empty. Private had meant silence. Private had meant patience with no reward. Private had meant letting things fade while the damage stayed. She reached her car and leaned against it for a moment, eyes closed. Her heart slowed. The night felt still, like it was waiting for her to decide what this meant. She thought about Khalid sitting at the table now, his confidence broken, his image cracked. She wondered if he felt shame or only anger. She wondered if he would ever understand why she did it. The thought passed quickly. Understanding was no longer her responsibility. She got into the car and drove at home. The quiet felt strange. Number. Voices. No tension. Just space. She set her keys down and sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the wall. The adrenaline faded, replaced by a heavy calm. She asked herself the question she had avoided all night. Was it worth it? The answer didn't come fast. She remembered the look on Khalid's face when the bill arrived. The shock. The loss of control. It hadn't brought her joy, but it had brought balance. For once he had felt what she felt, exposed. Dismissed. Powerless. Her phone buzzed again. A message from Khalid. You humiliated me. Mariam read it slowly. She typed, erased, then typed again. You took from me and acted like I was the problem when I asked for it back. Tonight wasn't about hurting you. It was about ending that. She sent it before she could second-guess herself. Minutes passed. Number. Reply. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. The desire for revenge that had burned so hot earlier was gone now, leaving behind something quieter. Not victory. Not guilt. Clarity. She understood that revenge hadn't healed her. It hadn't fixed the broken trust or restored the family she thought she had. But it had done something important. It had stopped the bleeding. For months, she had carried the weight of being the difficult one. Tonight she had put that weight down. The next morning, messages continued. Some accused her of going too far. Some told her she should apologize. A few, quietly, told her they understood. One cousin admitted Khalid had borrowed from them too. Another said they had always felt uncomfortable, but didn't know how to speak up. Miriam read them all without responding. She met her mother later that day. They sat across from each other in a small cafe, hands wrapped around warm cups. Mother looked tired. "You embarrassed him," her mother said gently. Miriam nodded. "He embarrassed himself." Her mother sighed. "Families don't do this to each other." Miriam met her eyes. "Families don't take and silence each other either." They sat in silence after that. It wasn't fixed. It wasn't broken. Beyond repair. It was honest. Days passed. Khalid didn't call. He didn't apologize. He sent one final message asking her to let it go. Miriam didn't reply. Instead, she did something new. She let him go. She stopped waiting for repayment. That would never come. She stopped hoping the family would suddenly choose fairness. She focused on herself, on rebuilding what she had lost, not just financially, but emotionally. The anger faded. The desire for revenge faded with it. What remained was strength. Understood now that revenge wasn't about punishment. It was about boundaries. It was about deciding what you will no longer accept. She hadn't destroyed anyone. She hadn't screamed or threatened. She had simply refused to absorb the cost of someone else's choices. And that was the lesson that stayed with her. Revenge didn't heal her wounds, but it woke her up. And sometimes that is enough.